On today's episode of Property Focus, we'll be discussing the valuation process. This is going to be a two-part series. The first part will discuss property valuation and what it means for your real estate investment. The second bit will dig into the different methods or valuation approaches involved in real estate. Okay? And we hope you enjoyed the last episode in which we discussed property, asset, and facilities management. In the episode, we dug into the different kinds of managers that real estate investors hire to look after their investment. Okay, now, what is property valuation and what does it mean for your investment? Property valuation basically is determining the value of a particular piece of real estate. Okay, it's important for real estate investors because it's what sets values, which are the basis for property transactions. Right. So without real estate value, it is next to impossible to transact in the business. Right. Now, the valuation industry is a big and indispensable part of the business of property. And you have professionals that are trained to do this kind of work, different kinds of valuers. But for the benefit of this particular discussion, we'll be talking about valuation surveyors. Okay, so the valuation surveyor will be the most relevant to this bit of the discussion. Okay, now having said that, what are some of the key factors determining property value? Number one, your location. Most important, the location of the property. Okay, location, location, location. Second, the physical attributes of the property. What is the land extent, for instance? In what condition is the property? What are some of the things on that particular piece of property? What is its functional utility? Will it be obsolescent in a while, or does it keep with modern standards, and will it retain its utility for a considerable amount of time? All of those things play a huge role in determining the value of a piece of real estate. Okay, what are some of the reasons to have your property valued? Number one, it will be necessary when acquiring finance. So when you go to a bank or a lending institution, they are going to ask for the value of the property to determine or to appraise your application, right? They're going to ask you for the value of your property to see what to lend you or if you qualify at all. There's something you call the loan to asset value ratio in the bond market. Right, so the loan to asset value ratio basically is the amount of finance that you qualify for, or that you'll be able to access based on the value of your property. So that is one of the reasons you want to have the value of your property ascertained. Another thing is what you call the debt coverage ratio. Basically, this is the amount of cash flow or money that you'll be able to pay to cover the interest rate on a particular advance of finance, okay, over a given period. All of those things will hinge in no small part on the value of the property in question. Okay, now in the commercial property sector, you have property funds. These property funds are often listed on the stock market. One of the requirements of the stock market is that they annually have their properties valued, okay, for two major reasons. The number one reason is to provide comfort for their shareholders, right? Listed companies have to provide value for their shareholders. So one of the reasons you want to have your properties, they require that property funds have their properties valued annually. The second reason is to benchmark their assets' performance against international standards. Okay, so the second reason would be to benchmark those property assets' performance against international standards. So that is for commercial property funds listed on the stock market. Okay, the third reason would be to determine property taxes. You have different kinds of taxes in the real estate business. Okay, you may or may not have come into property transfer tax, for instance, but it's not the only one. There's several other taxes such as capital gains tax. Okay, you have value added tax, and then you have your municipal taxes or rates. All of those taxes are determined in no small part by the value of your real estate. Okay, so that would be the lowdown on property valuation and why it matters for your investment. Just a quick recap. It's important to set the value of a property because it is the basis upon which transactions in real estate happen. Without property value, it's next to impossible to transact in real estate. Okay, some of the key factors determining property value would be the location, as well as the physical attributes of the property. In instances, also the state of the market. So a particular piece of property might fetch a different value at one point in the market than it would at a different point in the market. So that too sometimes might determine the value of your property. Some of the reasons to have your property valued is to ensure that you meet the requirements when you're applying for finance for the purchase or development of real estate. Also to meet with requirements in the stock market if you are a commercial property fund, okay, as well as to determine your property taxes, in your transactions, property transfer tax, your capital gains tax, as well as your municipal taxes and rates. That would wrap up this edition of Property Focus. This would be part one of the series, and in part two, which is the next video, we'll be discussing the different valuation methods and how those are determined. Thank you so much for watching. As usual, remember to subscribe and share this content. Have a lovely day.